All right. Well, welcome, coaches. Welcome, all of you. We're going to interrupt our regular scheduled broadcast. We've been talking about the 10 general physical skills. Man, it's the Open this week, so let's talk a little Open. So we got the CrossFit Open coming up. It's obviously an international online competition, but a lot of times within CrossFit gyms, they do maybe an in-house Open competition. We've done that I think we're going year 7 here that we've done the in-house competition.
I think it was my second year.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so we actually do the CrossFit Open. The CrossFit Open is 3 weeks long. CrossFit.com releases these workouts. This is like the starting stage of those trying to make the CrossFit Games. This is kind of their first step in that process. That is not my first step in my process of what I'm doing. I'm basically just doing an online workout, submitting some scores.
It's still your first step. It's your only step.
It's my only step. Yeah. It's the only place I'm going on this. So, but we really, we use this opportunity as a time that we can, build a little community, have a little fun in the gym. It raises a little bit of excitement. We break our members into teams. I think we have close to 60.
Oh yeah, I think 57.
Yeah, something like that. So, and we usually have, that's a pretty normal range, like anywhere from about 45 to 55 people we've had in the past. And this is all ages. So we have our teenagers competing. We have our 55 and older legends groups competing. And so CrossFit does a really great job of, they create so many different options for the workouts to be scaled and modified, much like we do in our regular classes, but they provide a lot of these modifications. And so it's really something that everyone can do. And the idea behind the Open is that they try to make it as inclusive as possible. I know that's interesting term right now, and then maybe that's not always as doable as what we would think, but they try to really, if you were not even at a gym, that you might have the ability to do these workouts. So that being said, that the first workout releases this afternoon. Actually, you guys will be getting this podcast probably on Sunday night or Monday, so we will have already done our first week of the Open.
So enjoy these tips.
Yeah, enjoy these tips. In week 2 and 3. We're not giving you every answer yet, right? But I thought it'd be fun to maybe start out by maybe telling about maybe the first time you did the Open, and all 3 of us started the Open in different times. So, but maybe share a quick little tidbit of your first experience in the Open, and then I've asked you guys to provide your top 3 tips. I could see us intermixing on our tips because we have not discussed what our other tips
I really thought that you pressed record really early.
Yeah.
Okay. We're just gonna.
Out of the mind. Yeah, we're going off the cuff here. So Millie, I'm going to start with you, ladies first.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about your first experience with the Open, and then maybe some initial tips.
Well, when Josh texted us this morning about, because we always plan way in advance.
Yeah, we're way in advance.
Hours, multiple hours in advance.
Someday I will get better at planning ahead.
Well, it's good. Sometimes overthinking is not a good thing. I tried to remember. It's do I remember my first Open? And not because it's been that many years ago. Just they all kind of smushed together after a while.
Happens when repeat workouts.
I know, right? So
which was the time that I did the
thing? It was either my first or my second Open. When I first heard about the CrossFit Open, obviously I had no idea what the CrossFit Games were. I didn't know how good you had to be to get there. So I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be so fun. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go to this big competition that's out of state. That'll be a fun time.
What an experience.
Yes.
But you have been to the CrossFit Games since.
I have, not as a participant, but anyway, so I just remember being completely oblivious to what it actually was, but it still was a great time. But probably my most memorable Open was when I lived in Virginia, and we repeated this workout.
What year is this? When did your first Open? When did you start? How many years have you done the Open?
No, you're asking for dates. I haven't prepared myself.
Okay.
What year was the first Open?
Probably, let me see. Probably my first Open would have been 2015.
Okay, so you're going on year 8.
No.
Right?
Well, yeah.
You missed at least one with the kid.
Time flies.
Or kids.
Or kids. And I started CrossFit 2 years before.
Okay.
She was born.
So 2015-ish, we're talking. Okay. All right, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to drop that bomb on.
No, that's fine.
Just sit in the corner so bit.
Yeah, just need a moment. Anyway, and we use this sense, but it's the one where it's it's an ascending ladder, I think. or maybe the reps stay the same, but it's squat cleans and it's toes to bar. And you have to finish a certain amount of reps in a certain amount of time, and then you go and the bar gets heavier, but the toes to bar reps stay the same.
This was the first time they ever made a huge mistake on the live announcement. They misloaded Dan Millie's bar.
Oh,
And so he's like repping 300+ pound cleans and come to find out that the workout's invalid later on because something was misloaded. I don't remember exactly what it was. I think it was Dan Bailey's.
That was invalid. I also loaded the wrong bar. I had to do it twice. So I've done this workout 3 times in the open. But
That's what I did at home.
I was living in Virginia, and my local gym, we teamed up with another local gym, and we went there for one of the open workouts, and then they came to our gym for another one. It was a lot of fun. So we were at their gym. I was doing this workout, and I thought I didn't meet the time cap to move on. So like you roll over on your back, and you're dying. You're like, okay, thank goodness that's over, and I don't have to do anymore because I didn't make the time. Thank goodness I didn't make the time cap.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden everybody was yelling, you made it. And I was like, dang it.
Never been more disappointed.
Rest mode. So I remember I literally crawled from my barbell over to the rig to start toes to bar again because already in my head I was
Don't you
done.
have a ladder to get to the bar, man?
I got the second time cut, but I know, right?
With all that given time.
Calling. Later, I remember sitting there like, "Oh, cool, Millie, you just crawled across the gym floor in front of a whole bunch of people you don't know." That's the open.
Yeah,
Those are the kind of things that happen to you to the open. But
So welcome.
So
We're
welcome
so excited
to the
for you
open.
guys to enjoy it.
Some good stories that I have. I think that's probably my second open that I crawled across the gym floor because I couldn't get on my feet because I was too exhausted, but I knew I had to go back. I had to at least get a couple reps in because I did make it.
Okay. All right. Yeah, those workouts with the earning, you earn your next interval.
Do you remember Infinite Fran?
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
What year was that? Was that 13 or 14?
I don't know.
It was either my first or second year in the open, and I was like,
If you think that Millie in the last 8 years, if her opens blend together, mine definitely together with 13. So it's been, it's hard for me I had to go back to 2011 and see what these workouts were in 2011.
11 was the year, was 6, right?
Yes.
It was the very first year.
So, but tell. Okay, so we'll get to me, but I want you to. What's your most memorable open scenario?
Oh man, honestly, there's a handful of them. Like, probably one of the most fun ones was the first year we did the intramural open, and that's the year that we retested the thruster bar over burpee. Do you remember this?
Yep.
Because you and I did it. It was week 5. You and I did Friday Night Lights. Tyler Mudd was there.
Yeah.
It was all 3 of us. And Tyler got to a point in the workout. He's like, I'm not even going to come close. You and I went full gas, and there was like a 2-second differential.
Yeah.
And we murdered ourselves, knowing that whoever got second could have gone 30 to 40 seconds slower and still gotten second.
Yeah.
That's like one of the ones, like one of the, like the visceral memories that come back to me. That was fun. I remember Infinite Fran being so certain I was going to get through a couple rounds of it and did not get out of the first one, like almost everyone. I remember that. I figured out the way that I coach double unders today was defined in 2013 or 14, whenever we did the workout where it was 150 wall balls, 90 double unders, and 30 muscle ups, 12-minute AMRAP. It's gotten programmed twice.
Yeah.
In the warm-up of that workout, I still did not have double unders down. Yeah. This is the disparity in my skill set and why it's important to do things when you're young. Because I didn't jump rope as a kid, and it showed up. I didn't have the reps. I didn't have I could do muscle ups before I could string together 15 muscle
to the bar.
double under consistently. That was so I was like, I got to get to the muscle ups because I can do one. I wanted to do one.
Right.
So I literally get into the warm up and I start like, you know what? Instead of burning energy on trying to string it together and miss, what if I just do a single double under, step on the rope, step through, and I was literally going to go one at a time because I was like, it's better to go 90 for 90 in this scenario.
Right.
And that was my plan. And then I get going. I was like, well, this is starting to make sense now. This is the first time double unders felt right. And I ended up PRing my double unders by a serious amount. And that drill has gone on to teach countless others how to string together double unders. So that's probably my most like cool memory because of the ripple that came from that potential failure.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good one there. So I recall all of these workouts these guys did, because I have done every open available. So I actually, in 2009, to get to regionals, you just have to sign up. So I signed up. I think they had 100 spots available. I flew to Colorado,
It was the same thing in 2010.
and 2010 was different. I'll tell that in a second.
Okay.
So in 2009, you signed up, and I went out to Colorado. I did not make the games.
Were you close?
I think I placed in the-
Was there any point where you thought you might?
No. I was like, so did the first workout in elevation, and it was like, it was a box, it was a run and deadlift at like 315. It was a 400-meter run deadlift workout, 3 rounds, stuff like that. And if you know old school CrossFit guys, like legends guys, it's Matt Chan was in my regional, and he just murdered everyone. Kyle Kasperbauer was in my regional.
I think Matt Chan's the unforgotten.
But I think at one point Pat Burke was in my regional. Yeah, so it's some big time CrossFit names back then.
Yeah, if you've been doing.
I showed up doing CrossFit, and I thought that like CrossFit was like this thing that we kind of did in a garage. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, these people are real. Like this is like a real thing. This is the coolest thing. I've never seen a video camera at a gym before. So Devon was there videoing.
You thought you were going there to play flag football and everyone got pads on.
Yeah. So I was 93rd after our first workout because it destroyed me. I think I got time cap. I ended up finishing like 33rd overall.
That's good.
So I think they took the top 2 or 3, but I ended up finishing, in the 30s there. And so then in 2010, they did the sectional.
Yes.
So you signed up for the sectional. That was an in-person competition, and then they took your top 5 from there.
Which is
and
the first time
regionals.
you and I were in the same physical location.
Yes, potentially. Yeah.
Because
so
that was my first exposure to CrossFit, was that 2010 sectional.
yeah, at
My
TNT.
my recruiter brought me out there because I had just done my first pass test to go for a special operations slot for basic training that you had to do. And he was like, I passed it, and he's like, hey, there's this thing called CrossFit. Our guys that are doing it are been more successful than those that aren't. We've got a table out there. We'd love for you just to come out, take a look, and if you decide that's something that you're willing to do, we'd like you to train. Like, we believe this is your best route for training, for what we were doing. So that was actually my very first exposure. That's my first time putting eyes on CrossFit. And I'm seeing this bar. I got no concept of what 135 is, and I'm seeing everyone get destroyed by this 135 workout. I'm talking guys that are still like bigger than I am now.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I didn't understand it at all. Kicker is the Air Force One.
It was the Air Force.
It was the Air Force One. And I just remember watching everyone die. Like, yeah, it's over programmed.
Yeah.
It's over programmed.
Most of CrossFit before 2018 was over programmed. So
and some degree.
So that was sectionals. So I did place in the top 5, made regionals that year. 2011 came around, and that was the first Open. We had 6 weeks in the Open that year. It took almost 2 weeks, I think, for people to submit all of their video submissions.
Well, the reason why there was 6 is round 5 had to be invalidated because their servers went down.
Yes, yeah.
And nobody could, and none of the scores could be submitted on week 5.
Yeah, we had to have a 6th week.
And that's whenever the Fran carousel started happening at the end of the Open.
Yeah. So 2011, I was looking back at these little things, the workouts and stuff, and I remember the 1 squat clean, 1 jerk. You could do a squat clean into like a thruster jerk thing. That was nice. So we did that. 9 deadlifts, 12 push-ups, 15 box jumps. This one has been repeated, I believe, is the AMRAP in 10, 30 double unders, 15 power snatches at like 75 pounds. That one's a dirty one. So anyway, so that is not my most favorite experience of the Open, or the most memorable. My most memorable is I made the Open for a couple of years, ended up being like, when you go to regionals for 3 or 4 years, and like your Open ended up being like, oh, it's just kind of a formality. So I would finish in like the top 200 in the world in the Open for 11 and 12. And then I woke up in 2013 and I was like 1700th, and I was like, oh, you're no longer good enough. So that was when like everybody else found out about CrossFit. And so I was like, oh, now the real good people are here. Now I can take a step back.
It's drawn in the
so that was my first experience, but it was also a time when I was open in the gym in 2012, and so I had another guy that was working for us at the time, Shane McBride, and he's a perennial regional athlete for a number of years. I think he's since kind of like, moved on to the family life and gym life as well. But, he and I in 2013 to open, I mean, we would just murder ourselves. And Shane was like, he was going to make it. I was not, but I was still just crushing my own soul just to keep up with him. And there's a picture of us like outside of our gym here. And this was back when we probably only had the one side. And so the door is open, and whatever I want to say it was the mashup workout in 2013 that they took like the 7 minutes of burpees.
Yes, so
the snatch.
So that was my very first open workout.
Yeah, so that was like a blended workout of two different open workouts from previous years, and they smashed them together into one workout. And Shane and I were devastated afterwards, and we're just like laying out in puddles of our own water, sweat. Shane probably threw up 3 times after the workout, maybe a time or 2 before the workout. And we're just like, our legs are propped up on things. And that's like my most memorable part of the open.
You should do the open, guys.
You should do the open.
This is not a fired out.
Yeah, and so that's probably one of my more memorable times. But I actually just recently switched my profile over like a couple of years ago to kind of explain the difference. I've been doing the open for 13 years, so I've done every open. But the reason why I do it now is very different than what I did then. Back then, it was like trying to qualify for something or trying to be something. Show how good I could be on a leaderboard or whatever else. Now, I mean, I just do the open because we do the open as a gym, and it's kind of just
it's just another workout.
Yeah, it is. It is just another workout.
It's a workout with a little bit worse intent.
Yeah, so I would get to so tips. Yeah. So if you haven't already been sold on doing the open, or you're like, hey, I'm not backing out now because I'm already signed up, and these guys have just shared really terrible stories about the open.
Like by the time this is released, decisions have already been made.
They've already been made. You're already stuck. So that's why we're releasing this Monday. So yeah, from a tip perspective, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. One of the things that we always try to tell our clients is we do the workout on Friday in our classes. It's coach directed. It's we do a Friday night event, or a Saturday morning event, just as like an extra little like celebratory thing, or have some fun. Yeah, social gathering. But it really is just another workout. Like these workouts that CrossFit releases, every once in a while, they provide you with some new movements or an unseen movement. But for the most part, if you're doing a appropriate program that is constantly varied and provides a lot of different movement concepts, most of the movements that we do, most of the workout styles that we do, they're the same as what we see in our classes.
They're supposed to be.
What happens is like
it's the
intent and the energy and output that gets heightened that probably makes the open workout.
Most of what changes happens between the years.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't be weird about it. It's just another workout.
Just don't be weird. So yeah, so I would say, you kind of hit the nail on tip number 1 for me is like, it's just another workout.
Yeah, that was one of my 3.
That was one of my.
Yeah. So see, we're spot on.
2 more tips to go.
Sam, give me another tip. What's another tip for you?
So it's perspective. Understand that the goal of this workout is to challenge you. And at the root of the workout is to allow the top 10% of every single person that signs up to separate themselves. So understand that when this workout is written, that was the intent of like, that's what they are trying to make sure that this opportunity provides that workout provides that opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
So for all of us outside of that top 10%, it's going to be very challenging, and it's supposed to be.
Right.
So like, this is us conquering our comfort zone. It's not us burrowing into the comfort zone, and I'm going to make modifications for every athlete that needs it, but not away from the idea of it being challenging.
Yeah.
Because at that point we've lost our intent.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
What about you, Coach Millie?
Mine would be just enjoy the process and have fun. I love the open. It's probably one of my favorite times of the year. It's like Christmas. Because it shows the camaraderie between our members. And I love watching people do things they didn't think were possible because they're being pushed a little bit past their comfort zone. And to me, that's just what it's all about. And just enjoying that process. Yes, you're going to have butterflies and you're going to be nervous, even if it is at the end of the day just another workout. But
Also,
if
that should exist somewhere in your life.
correct, yes, that atmosphere and just just being forced outside your comfort zone, but doing it with all of your best friends around you is, to me, it's just a wonderful thing. And just embrace all of that and soak up every moment, and then you'll be like us and you'll do it for decade before you know it.
Yeah. I would agree. And for someone like now, I'm at a point where, I still qualify within that 10% range, right? I still get butterflies. I don't even know why. Like, it's like, it doesn't even matter. Like, I'm not trying to do anything crazy, but having that level of connection, I think, with knowing that there's literally thousands of people in the world all doing this, like, collectively, like, I think that creates kind of like just this really cool sense of unity that I believe is difficult to come by sometimes in the world today. So I think
it doesn't happen on accident anymore.
No. And I think that's just kind of the appreciation I have for it that makes me continue to, be interested in doing it. My priorities anymore is like, so my tip to that would be that, like, this thing's going to be challenging. Yeah, it might take you outside your comfort zone, but know and understand that, like, ultimately there's nothing, all you're going to be asked to do, or all you should be proud of doing, is like just giving your best that you could that day, just like you would any other workout or any other day, right? And so that means, like, we're not training you to like peak at this level or whatever else. These people that are trying to do that and qualify, like, they're on a training plan that starts basically
Last August
and is peaking them to this. Like, that's not what we're doing. We're all here for general fitness. Most of us, we do have some clients that do have some performance goals within the Open. I think this is a great opportunity to track those things and to give you some testing protocols that you can look at every year for you personally. But ultimately, like, you're just there to do the workout to the best of your abilities, just like every other day that you come in.
And you are well prepared. Like, our programming,
we've never had an issue.
You will be well prepared. You might be pushed a little further than you normally would, but the programming, all the hours you've put in, like, you are more than well prepared for whatever workout they throw at you. You will be just fine.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Any other tips, Coach?
Take it one workout at a time. Sitting there getting stressed about this movement that you've never done nor practiced, and worried about, oh man, I can't do this muscle up, but I haven't put any work into. Everything in their Open is very rooted in the basics. It's very fundamental, and then it branches off into where those fundamentals can go a little bit. But the vast majority of the Open is the very base of the pyramid. Like, it's the building blocks. Focus on those, and if you find something at the end, look back at the Open as a whole. Then don't evaluate till it's done.
Mm-hmm.
We can't judge the Open until we've seen every workout, because they all work together. And to take one workout out and judge that is a fallacy at its highest degree. You're intentionally not giving yourself all the information to make a decision.
Yeah.
So it's easy to get upset about things like that. And then listen, if you do something and you're like, man, I really, really wish I could have done that, then talk to your coaches and let's put a plan together. We can build. Again, everything's just based on the fundamentals here.
One of the things that you did on that last piece there, so we've talked about this in our podcast before, but our membership they do quarterly goal reviews with our staff, with their applied success coaches, as we call them. And one of the things that we'll ask in the second quarter is, was there, if they did the CrossFit Open, like, how did you like it? Was there anything that you saw within the Open that either man, I wish I would have been able to do that, or that you really accomplished there that you felt good about, right? So, like, a bright spot there, or something that you really noticed that we were like, man, I want to be able to do X next year if that were to come up, right? So that we can talk about, like, it's okay to have those performance goals. To be honest with you, I love hearing from clients about performance goals over aesthetic goals sometimes, because that means like they're connecting with like this whole idea of just being a healthier human being. And while aesthetics might matter there, or weight loss or whatever else, like function is so much more imperative to me. And so when they start to talk about movement things that they want to improve on, strength concepts that they want to improve on, now I know that we're connecting to on a deeper level to function over just physique. And so I think the open is, like you said, at the end of it, to be able to go, and make some assessments there and be like, I would like to be able to do it. That was kind of cool to watch this. And I did see something that I didn't even know was a goal of mine, but now it is because I saw this done, you know?
And it's amazing. Yeah, that's usually how it goes, to be honest. People get way more excited about doing a muscle up when they see someone next to them get their first one, versus just knowing it exists, or that Catherine Davidsonner does it, so I need to do them. You know, that accept that. You know, accept it. You know, and enjoy and lean in. That's why it's all about having fun and enjoying and being in the community. It's seeing that stuff that it gets really exciting. And you tend to struggle with, a little philosophical soapbox here that'll take 30 seconds.
I appreciate it.
If you tend to struggle with like the concept that Josh is talking about, and I was talking about, evaluate at the end, not at the beginning or not in the middle. This concept's explained very strongly in a book called The Gap in the Game. If you're sitting there worried about this thing that hasn't happened, you're looking forward and you're measuring against this thing you can't do, you're living in this gap. And that's always going to be a downer. It's never going to be in the plus column. Whereas you get to the open, you look back and see what you did. You're living in where you gained. Like, what have you gained in that time? So if that is a regular mental battle for you, I can't recommend the book, The Gap in the Game, enough.
Yeah, I was trying to look back, as you're talking there, and I.
Do we talk longer?
No, I just would, I think something for me is, it was probably, my daughter was born in 2017. My oldest has literally went to regionals with me in 2011 and watched me compete. He's 15 now. So, and I remember that was not my closest to the games. My closest was in 2010, but in 2011, I think I ended up finishing about 7th. I had shredded my hands on this workout. It was a hundreds workout, and I had shredded my hands.
They had 100 pull-ups.
I had 100 pull-ups, and then I shredded my hands on rep number 30 and finished the other 70 pull-ups.
There was zero gymnastic grip coming in.
Right. So
some people just tape their hands like mummies.
That was Saturday. I expected to not make the cut for the finals on Sunday based on not finishing the workout. I got capped. And then as my hands are filleted and my barbell and everything else is covered with blood, they are announcing these things, and I made the cut for Sunday, and I was like, "There's no way."
Like when Millie found out that she's had to go to the
correct.
second half of that workout. Like, oh, no.
But there's a picture there with my son that, he's talking to me and he's showing me this truck that he's playing with, and it was actually a little, I think it was Lightning McQueen car or something like that. And I'm laying there on the ground and my hands are shredded. I got ice on my back, and that's a moment I think about. And then I think about fast forward to 2019, maybe. My daughter was walking, at least. I know that because she was standing there. We were in the gym, and it was after a Friday Night Lights. And I'm sitting on my butt, and it's a picture of my back and then her front. And she's just trying to hand me an animal cracker. And I wrote a post about this because it was really impactful to me as I looked at that picture. It's when we talk about this, it's just a workout. This doesn't matter. For most of us, right?
Jack still doesn't care how you win the workout.
He doesn't. But to me, I think sometimes we get so built up, and this just matters in the general idea around your fitness and your performance in general. The reality is all of this stuff that we're doing, it's just for this. These are just workouts, right? My kids don't care if I, got to 10 muscle ups on this workout or 0 muscle ups, or I didn't get out of the first round, or I did, right?
Nor can they define a pull-up.
And so when you start to look at this stuff, as you go into these things, we're having a fun competition. I'm a big believer in participation medals. So there are winners and losers in this thing. I get it, right? But ultimately, we've created a whole lot of just participate, and you get, points and things like that. We want to make this inclusive and fun. But at the end of the day, no one's around you judging you because you didn't do X, Y, or Z. Most people are going, I can't even believe that person can do that. Like, and think about this, like the people that are, that we'll see in this work, like in this next few weeks, like you said, like our people are going to do some amazing, cool things. And there are so many people looking on to them that are so much more impressed than disappointed in how we do. And so, that's kind of just been my own mental and emotional shift to all this. And this is coming from someone who did do this competitively with a goal to make the CrossFit Games at one point, and whether that was a fleeting opportunity or not, having that mindset around, like you said it, perspective, like putting perspective on what really matters here, which is like, we get to express our fitness in this way. We get to express our health in this way.
Yeah, we live in this wild time where we literally get to choose how to stress our body.
Yeah.
We don't have to, we're not working on farms. We're not, so that we can eat this winter.
Right.
We're like, we get to literally choose our stress.
Yeah.
Which is
basically you're doing this to yourself.
Yeah. You've done this to you.
Just
Yeah, so I don't know if that was a tip there or not, but
Yeah,
it's just kind of some mindset stuff that I've thought about over the
it's
years.
good. And actually that kind of, a thought in my own head, because I'm, postpartum this open, and granted, I've always been in the scaled, category. I've never done RX, but I'll probably be foundation. So for anybody out there that maybe you have done this in the past and you're just in a physical place due to injury or whatever life circumstances where you cannot do what the category, if you will, that you normally do, that just showing up and doing what you're physically capable of in that moment is awesome, and be proud of yourself for just doing that.
Yeah, and I that was something I was thinking about too, like, and you hit the nail on the head there, is like, in my own brain, I was thinking, some, like, if we're trying to do the same thing as a different person or a different body, like that's going to be a losing battle every single time.
Yeah.
Literally a different body.
Been there, done that.
So, and that's been something that I've tried to, like, I know I've had to speak my own, like, give myself some of my own medicine that I've had to give to clients when I've worked with someone for 15 years. And I'm like, we're talking about things that you did 12 years ago. Like, you're not that same person. So why are you expecting the same thing out of where you're at now versus like that, that's totally different, right? So
Yeah, just understand, like, that doesn't diminish where you've been.
yeah, no, not at all.
But the past is in the past, no matter good, bad, or otherwise. So it's a really rough thing to worship.
Yeah. So anyways, those are our tips. Oh, go.
Last
Yes.
tip.
Last one.
The hay is in the barn.
The hay is
in the barn. We're not going to make some
We
massive.
definitely did not discuss this.
We're not going to. You're not going to add 30 pounds to your squat between now and the next 3 weeks. You're not going to magically do your first muscle up practice and get one. Maybe, who knows? Maybe you just haven't cared about it, but you've got all the skills, and maybe you can put it together. But it's very unlikely that we're going to find some new level of performance in these next couple of weeks. Lean in, and if that matters to you, lean in, learn, and make a plan for afterwards.
Yeah, that's huge. Yeah, there's nothing drastic you're going to do, but get enough sleep the night before. If you don't, because you have young kids or late job or whatever else, then know that going in. Again, be realistic with what you're going to put out there. Don't try to do the workout 6 times, by the way.
Doesn't help.
It doesn't help.
Doesn't
and
get better.
Unless you are trying to make a cut for something, which I can tell you this, I know the
Retesting without an alternate strategy.
2 or 3 people, right?
Retesting without an alternate strategy, like, I'm just going to try harder. I've missed that. I just don't see it. I've never seen it work.
Yeah. The idea of, again, it is not that serious. Like, just do the workout 1 time.
I've never seen a guy do the 7 minutes of burpee workout 6 times.
Yeah.
6 times.
That's a lot of burpees.
In 3 days.
Yeah.
Because that's all you have.
Yeah. So that would be
Submitted
a
as
piece
a
there. It doesn't
No
make
second. Submitted a second score.
a ton of sense to redo workouts unless you have to.
Be smart about the weekend.
Be smart about the weekends. I don't even know what that means.
That means hydrate, sleep.
I'll hydrate. No.
And But
Do your best to make your behavior match your commitment level,
correct.
and then your mindset to not
Mine will definitely.
and then your mindset to not outpace your commitment level.
I mean, maybe Spirit Week, we talked about buying Spirit. But
Spirits
that's-
week, it's Spirits week.
Right,
It's
but it's the
Spirits-
last week,
Yeah,
so.
Spirits week. Yeah, so, all right, but anyways, hey guys, we wish you a wonderful open. And we're excited to see everybody on the leaderboard, excited to have a lot of fun with our gym folk starting tomorrow. And that's all for now. See you guys next week.